Okay. Hey friends, and welcome to another video. I hope everybody's doing fine. I have a beautiful new camera set up, a nice stick. I'm so happy with myself. I'm able to film really well and really I can get the picture is very clear like you can see. Also got myself a new phone. So yeah, this is what's happening. But it's not the video today, okay guys? This is not about my phone and all my setups, right? But the setup is for you guys. But today we're talking about sourdough. Yes, sourdough. Now guys, I started making sourdough bread when I was having gut issues years ago. I just had to eat everything fermented and I had to get my gut back to health because I was having serious issues with my gut. So I started making sourdough bread. I did extensive amount of research on how to do it and how to make it, and it turned out really, really well. And ever since, I just can't stop making sourdough bread and eating sourdough bread, and my family love it. So last night, I put some sourdough bread. I did my mix with my sourdough and stuff like that, and I have it here, so I am going to show you all. Now, I know from what I see on YouTube that many people are having issues with their bread not rising. It's just coming out like a hard lump, and they're like trying many different recipes and all kinds of stuff to get the perfect sourdough bread. But from day one, I have gotten the perfect sourdough bread because I have read that the sourdough starter is the big deal, right? Like, for you to have an awesome sourdough bread, your sourdough starter has to be bubbly and healthy and really, really, efficient and just awesome. You have to have a good starter. It all starts with the sourdough starter. If your sourdough starter is not bubbly enough and it's not healthy, then your bread is not going to turn out well. And some of the things that I saw in other research that I researched, books and online and stuff like that, is the sourdough starter like being noisy. It's making noise like when you ferment something. There's a lot of bubbles inside of it, and when you feed it, it rises up quick. So when I was doing mine, I make sure that I had all of those characteristics, and it was happening with my sourdough. And something else that I made sure that I did was I removed some of the sourdough. So every time I feed mine, I would remove some. Like if I have half a jar, I'd remove like a third of it and use it for pancakes or something. And then I'll put more flour and I'll just keep feeding it. And the more you feed it, the more bubbles it has and the healthier and the more bubbler it is, and it will be better to start your bread. So let me tell you guys how I do mine, and it's always a success. One time I had a problem with my sourdough because I didn't let it feed enough. Like I took it out of the fridge and I didn't feed it, and then I just put it in my bread because I wanted to make something fast. It did rise up, but it wasn't that fluffy texture that I'm used to. So the trick is to feed your sourdough first, give it about an hour for it to rise and eat up all the flour that you feed it in. Then you put your water and you take out the amount that you want and you add your flour, and then you leave it overnight. My sourdough starter is so good that I don't even need to leave my bread overnight. I could just put my starter in the day, and by evening time I have my bread is risen really high and I have excellent bread. So let's do that. Let me show you all what I did last night and give you some tips and some tricks, and then I'm going to bake the bread, and once I bake it, I'm going to show you exactly what it turns out to be. But just letting you guys know that I don't do like a very like kneady sourdough, like very firm sourdough. I do more of a wet mixture, and it always turns out perfect. When I do the mixture not too wet, it comes out okay, but it's not as soft and fluffy as I would like it. So yeah. So last night I did my sourdough. So look at it. Look how high it's risen. And actually it had fell over the container. and I had to scoop it back. This is the spoon, the wooden spoon. I usually put a wooden spoon over it like this, and it rises all the way up the spoon. Look, the spoon is so messy. I already cleaned it out. My towel is all messy. So you have to clean that up. Had to scrape everything off of it. So that shows you how good my sourdough is. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. I usually make my sourdough in this bowl here. This bowl makes the perfect sourdough bread because it rises up and I'm able to cut it and make designs on it if I want to. But look at this. Isn't that lovely? Let me show you guys something. Do you see this sourdough? You see all these bubbles that are in it? This is the magic here. You see much bubbles here? This is just bubbly and it just keep rising over. I gotta pour it out because it's eventually gonna come back over the bowl again and make a mess. So I'm gonna pour it out soon and I'm gonna show you guys that. Move it aside. But what I want to show you guys is my sourdough starter inside here. Do you see that? Do you see all these bubbles that are in there? This is a very, very healthy sourdough starter. It has bubbles, and I don't know if you can hear the sound, but it keeps making popping sounds. And I have to put my sourdough in a big crock like this because it tends to fall over. Every time I feed it, it rises up so high and it falls over. So I put it in this big crock and I've been keeping it like a little under halfway. Because if it, you see, you can see all the way up here how it comes up. If I put it like higher up here, it just falls over and make a mess of the container. So this is a very, very healthy sourdough starter. And this is how you want your sourdough starter to look like. So when I'm going to start my sourdough, I use this measuring cup. 1.5 cups of sourdough mixture per 3 cups of flour. That's how I do it. And it works out perfectly and it rises up really, really well. So this is my method and I always use this measuring cup. I put 2 pinches of salt and 2 tablespoons of olive oil or almond oil. Then I put about 1.5 cups of water and I mix up the sourdough starter first and I leave it. Then I add another 2 cups of water to make my dough this kind of soft dough. And I'll show you how runny my dough is. It's almost to the top, guys. I don't want it to fall. Oops. I don't want it to fall out of the bowl. But mine is very loose. So I could just pour it in the bowl. So let's pour it in the bowl and leave it to rest until this afternoon. Maybe not this afternoon because at the rate it's rising. When I just started the video, it was lower down. Look how high it is. It's right at the top of the bowl. So I do not want it to fall. So let's pour it in. Now that the sourdough is inside my bowl, I am going to leave it for another 2 to 3 hours until it rise up and fill up the bowl. And once it rise up and fill up the bowl, then I'm going to put it in the oven to bake. So one of the biggest problems that most people is having is not allowing the sourdough to rise up high enough and have enough air pockets inside of it once you put it in your container to bake. I like to grease my container with butter. It just gives it it gives the crust a nice flavor, I find. So this is what I do. So leave that to rise until it gets like way up to the top or a little bit halfway up. The more you let it rise, the more air that's going to be incorporated in it, and it's going to give you a softer sourdough bread. So I'm going to leave mine to rise like I said before, and then I'll come back, bake it, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's baked. The rest that I have in this bowl, I am going to leave it to rise up a bit. Then I'm going to add some flour and some water and some milk and some fruits and stuff in it because I want to make a fruit bread. But I need this one to stay a little bit longer to rise up a bit. And then I'm going to put my nuts and different things that I want to put in it. And I'm going to make a second sourdough. But I want this one to be more sour. So I'm going to make it tomorrow, the next day. So that's why I left half out. So if you want to have a more sour, a little bit more sour bread, then you need to leave it for like the next day. Make it the day before, then take out what you want and then leave it the next day. And then you're going to have this really, really nice flavor and taste. And that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'll do a little video on the second day on how I make my nut and dry fruits sourdough bread also. Don't worry, I'll show you guys that. So let's put that aside and cover it. After about 2.5 hours, my bread has risen up very high, almost falling over. So now it's ready to go into the oven to bake. So let's do that. Okay, you all, so my bread is finished baking. As you can see, it's beautiful and perfect, and it has taken on the shape of the baking dish. And this is what it looks like. And yeah, it's still warm, so I'm not gonna cut into it as yet. But when I cut into it, I'll show you guys how lovely it is. And it's very light. And if I squeeze it, it has a nice crust on it, and the butter that I greased the pan with is just, I can still feel the butter on my hand, but it gives the crust a really nice taste. And then the bread itself is amazing when you eat it. So yeah, so I'll cut it and show you guys what it looks like inside. And I hope you guys learned something from this video and you will actually try making sourdough bread this way, because this way is just really amazing. It really turns out well. And let me put it down, it's warm. Making your sourdough bread this way, it really turns out really well, and it's soft, and you don't have to worry about this flat bleh, sourdough bread that is just heavy and is not the way you like it.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, ooh, I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet, lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter.
So this bread is amazing. It's soft. It has all these little holes in it, as you would like when you have a sourdough bread. It's just amazing. It's really good. Just put some butter on it, and there you go. So guys, there it is. Amazing sourdough bread. If you follow my recipe, you will have sourdough bread just like mine. Just like this. And it smells amazing too. Thanks for watching my video. Think beautiful thoughts on the inside of your head, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.